So welcome to Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat with the Grand Theatre. I'm Jed Mills alongside Hayley Kay. And, we're in conversation once again, and we're very excited this afternoon.
Yeah, no, really looking forward to spending the next few episodes just getting to know the people that are going to be part of the Grand Theatre. So that's everyone that's going to be front of house, backstage, on the stage, writers, directors. Very much looking forward to taking you with us on what's going to be a brilliant journey in Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat. So we've got our first guest lined up and ready to chat to today, and really excited because this is a play which is heading to the Grand Theatre in May of this year. And our first guest is the writer of the play Dead Lies, none other. A very warm welcome to Hilary Bonner this afternoon.
How are you, Hilary?
I'm very well. How are you guys?
We're great. Thanks so much for joining us. And straight off the bat, you are not messing about. You're a writer that gets fully involved. You are in the rehearsal space, I believe.
I am. Well, I'm very lucky. I have producers who like me to be involved and a wonderful director who likes me to be involved. I haven't been in rehearsals all the time, but I pop in and out and make a nuisance of myself.
So tell us a bit about the background then to Dead Lies, because obviously we know you're a very well-known author, you've written lots, but am I right in thinking that this is your first play?
It is indeed. It is my very first play. It's been a sort of long time coming because I was approached out of the blue by a West End producer many, many years ago, asked to write a play, commissioned. This is the proceed version. Basically, in the end, it didn't happen, so I put it in a drawer for 15 years and sulked. and then I met a man at a dinner party and it was introduced as a crime novelist. And he said, I suppose you've written a play, have you? You've not written a thriller. And I said I had. And he had an involvement with the production company who were interested in putting on a thriller. And that went wrong. By which time we had the wonderful Joe Harmston on board, the director, and he and I were deciding what to do next when I was walking across the road in Covent Garden in London one day. I was tapped on the shoulder by the wonderful Lee Waddingham, who is the associate producer of Red, who are producing Dead Lies. And he told me about his new job with Red and said, don't suppose you've written a thriller, have you, Hills? And I said, well, it's funny you should say that. And this time, after 2 false starts, this is the third attempt, thanks to COVID, here we are.
The time has come to reinvent the way this country is run. The British people have been let down by the behaviour of political leaders who have lied again and again. And whilst you were doing the right thing, they partied. They got drunk together. I stand before you to make a solemn promise. I may get things wrong. I will almost certainly make mistakes, but I will never lie to you.
We were just talking about this before, weren't we? We were saying, is it like going back to an old friend, if you will? Because like you say, you've had this play sat in the drawer for 15 years. You've done it. Someone's then said, listen, we'll have some of this. And can you come up with something? And you have, like I say, gone back to it. Is that kind of how it felt? Or did you reread it and think, oh, actually, this is really good stuff? Or did you maybe try and rewrite some things to be kind of more modern?
The play really has two factions. On the one hand, it is a traditional but contemporary English murder mystery. And it's set against a backdrop of political intrigue, quite a lot of sexual shenanigans and scandal in high places. And we come to the political background. That is absolutely bang on to the minute. The lovely Jeremy has to make some very hard-hitting political speeches, which I certainly had to bring up to date, but it's the same principle before. But when I first wrote it, the backdrop really was the Iraq War, and now it's Partygate and everything that's happened to Boris, and of course we have the terrible, terrible war in the Ukraine. So that part of it I have already rewriting, and much to the joy, I'm sure, of the actors, there will be last-minute rewrites, and quite possibly throughout the run. Because, there's a saying, a week is a long time in politics. Well, right now, I think half an hour is a pretty long time in That's a line in the play, by the way.
And what's it been like then, being in that rehearsal space with the actors and sort of literally seeing, you know, your words come out of their mouth? Is that a surreal thing, or do you kind of get used to it after a while?
Well, it's still very new to me. This is the first week of rehearsals. It's absolutely wonderful, Hayley. It really is. I'm thrilled. They make my stuff sound so much better. You know, they're absolutely brilliant. It's really great. And you know, with Red, we had a smooth ride really until last year. And we cast and we were going, and theatres were booked, and we were going out in September, and the play had to be cancelled 10 days away from rehearsals, like so much. So it's been a bit of a struggle. It's been hard. And this is a really good bit. It's fantastic for me. Absolutely fantastic. And I just, I'll let you into a secret. On the first day, it's quite embarrassing. I felt myself sort of welling up. I was quite moved by it. So I had to pull myself together and try not to make a complete fool of myself.
No, I think, like you say, though, it's been a long time coming, and I think that's what it is so nice now to be back in the theatre. I think that I certainly felt emotional the very first time I went back into a theatre setting after lockdown, because you just, for me, when you're in a theatre setting, you just leave all your troubles behind and you go somewhere else completely. There's no distractions, there's no kids, no phones, there's just you and the actors, and you just get on and enjoy it. So I totally get why you'd feel that way, definitely.
Yeah, of course. And I should have said, you know, our actors, our producers, our director, me, you know, we all suffered with this production because of COVID, but so has everybody in the show business world, particularly in theatre. I'm sure I don't know how long the ground was dark for, but it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I always say, you know, with the actors, and obviously writing a play for stage rather than a novel that you've done very successfully for many years, writing a play and for actors to, like say, deliver your work, if you will, on stage. Obviously, it's commonly known you're married to Amanda Barry. Did you try stuff on her? Did you say, "Oh, Amanda, can just play this out for me to see how this maybe would sound?" Or, you know, was she sort of your guinea pig over this?
No, you know, this is awful. I sometimes get told off for it. When I'm working, I'm afraid I'm not a great sharer. You know, it's a day at the office and it's in my head. When it's really out there, it's different, and you take criticism. And it was great working with Joe, who brought the stagecraft, if you like, to the project. I mean, I can write a crime story, hopefully, but I hadn't written a play before, although I'd seen a lot of theatre. I was once, in my time as a show business journalist, I was once a theatre critic. I mean, don't tell any of the cast. I need, you know, I had a lot to learn, and I sat with Joe, and I have thrown one or two things at Amanda, but by and large, you know, you can't write by committee, in my opinion. Although comedy writers do, I know, but I think that's a different thing.
Has it whet your appetite to perhaps do more in the way of doing plays and putting words in actors' mouths? Because as we were sort of saying, it must be a completely different proposition from sitting down and going, readers will enjoy this, to kind of thinking, you know, this has got to play out on the stage.
Well, yes. So you have to be aware of some practicalities, although Joe has Joe's vision. We tease it, Joe's vision, but it is a wonderful vision, actually. Joe's vision is of a very fluid production and a very fluid set. So I have been able to move my characters around from place to place and set to set and situation to situation in a way that is not quite so different to my novels as it might be with a different sort of director and a more conventional set. But as regards to putting words into the mouths of actors, well, I wrote that in exactly the same way as I would my crime novel. I didn't think about that. I just think about what they should be saying. You get to the point where your character walks into a room, and I write something, he wouldn't say that. You know, it sort of comes to me a bit. But these, I've seen them all at work a little bit now, and every single one of them really seems to have got the kind of character I've tried to create. They've been kind enough to say, well, that's because the writing is right. Well, hopefully it is, but I guess that's where the partnership comes in. I have to make the writing right so that they do understand what I'm getting at, and then leave them to get on with it, really.
In your former life, or I want to say, is it former life? You're still a bit of a showbiz editor, because you can't really get away from that job. Maybe just throw some stuff out there.
I don't really, but once in a blue moon, somebody rings me up. I mean, I had a book, my goodness, it was just before lockdown. Well, the last 2 years has passed. It's bizarre, isn't it? You'd think it would take a long time, it would feel slow, but it seems to have passed so quickly in many ways. It was just before lockdown when Joseph and the Technicolor Dream coat returned to the Palladium. And I'd done a big interview with Jason Donovan as Joseph for the Daily Mirror, like something ridiculous, like 25, 30 years ago. And he was in it this time as Herod. And the Daily Mirror rang me up out of the blue and said, would I go and do a review of it and do a piece? And it was absolutely great. You know, I had no responsibility. Off I trotted. They paid me quite generously, and I had an absolute ball. But I'm not sort of looking for it. It's usually something about my writing or something that rears its head from my past. In that case, something I was delighted to be part of.
Is there anything now that you still is on your tick list of things to do? Because obviously, you know, very successful in your former professions, and then as a novelist, and now, you know, you've got a play taken to the stage, touring all over the UK. Is there anything sort of left on your list that you're like, I would love to just do this?
Well, on that, I have to say, I have. I'm extraordinarily lucky, and I'm busier at this moment than I have been since my Fleet Street days. In spite of the fact that I'm, shall we just say, over 21, I'm very, very busy, and I am enjoying it. And I'm writing a new play, which will be called Dead Secrets. It's not a sequel or anything to Dead Lies, but the play is supposed to say, this is more of what she gave you before, you know. It's if you like it, come again. That's called Dead Secrets. And I've also just, actually, I haven't signed it. It's been so busy this week. It's sitting in my laptop. But I have a contract for a new book, which will come out next year.
And what would that be, your 23rd, Hilary? Is that right?
My 23rd book, and it will be my 18th crime novel. Yeah.
Wow. So I want to ask you the question. You said more, you're busier than ever, and maybe there isn't something yet. I believe you're a big horse racing fan. Would ownership be something that would tickle your fancy a little bit when you see likes of Cheltenham and obviously, you know, Grand Nationals and all the big races coming up?
I have done that. I have been an owner, always a part owner, you know, a leg or a toenail. It is very exciting, but unfortunately, Amanda and I had a rather bad experience, and we lost a couple of horses. And I don't think we're quite tough enough for it. So National Hunt, maybe not. I'd love to own a flat horse, but as they cost about 5 times as much.
Need more gigs from the Daily Mirror, Hilary.
My house is worth. I don't think there's much chance of that. But going back, Hayley, you were asking, I'm telling you what I'm doing now. What I do have up my sleeve, I mean, I haven't told anybody now, so this is a world exclusive, but not going into details, but I just have an idea for something that isn't a crime novel or a crime. It would probably, an idea for a play that would be away from what I usually do. After all, I like to sort of change careers about every few years. So stick to the crime plays, and thrilled that people are putting them on. But I do still have other ideas. I think it's what keeps me at it.
I think it's fantastic, like you say, keep reinventing and keep changing things up and keep challenging yourself. It's brilliant. And thank you so much. I appreciate you're in the middle of rehearsals. It's a pretty busy time for you. So thank you so much for sparing the time to chat with Ged and I today on our Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat podcast.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm thrilled to be coming back to the Grand because, of course, talking of Amanda, she played the fairy godmother in Cinderella at the Grand a few years ago, and we stayed at the Imperial and had a ball in Blackpool. So I'm looking forward to coming back. I will definitely visit. I love Blackpool.
Well, great to speak to Hilary before. Let's speak to one of the cast members now, Jeremy Edwards, of course, of Dead Lies. Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us. Now, as I said, you are right in the middle of rehearsal. Hilary told us the sort of her experience, obviously being a writer and the actors, really taking on her words and how grateful she is of that. What about you as an actor taking on her words? How are you finding that?
I was just discussing with some of the other cast members. We've just been running scenes. You might have heard us in the background. Just saying what's incredible is that it's so full. There are so many layers in not just in every scene, but in every character. And there's so much emotion and movement in terms of that emotion and finding the path through. It's really, it's challenging, but it's very rewarding. So we're just getting our heads around the shape of it, but it's spectacular writing. And I'm not just saying that because Hilary can't actually hear me, and I would if it wasn't. But I'm very impressed. It's a dream for us. I mean, it's a huge challenge. Don't get me wrong, but it's a dream. When we get it, we will get it right, and we'll knock it out of the park. It'll be amazing.
I was just going to ask Jeremy, is it more pressure with Hilary in the room, knowing that these are her words? I mean, I get that actors, it's the job to perform under pressure, but is it added pressure with her in the room?
Yes and no, really. The great thing is we haven't actually had to change the script. I think it's been so well considered. It can be difficult with a writer in the room if you have issues with some of the things you're saying, or you're like, that doesn't quite ring well. But she's done a huge amount of editing to make sure it just flows beautifully. And so it's, and actually the advantage of having Hilary in the room is that if there is any question, I'm not quite sure what I'm saying here, she can tell you exactly what she was thinking, that your character was thinking at that time. So as well as, of course, having Joe, our fantastic director, it's like having two directors, effectively.
Yeah. Are you an actor, Jeremy, that sometimes, might say, a few suggestions, we know that does happen, and say, listen, maybe if we say it like this or do it like this, or you just very much, it's on the, I learn my script and, that is how we deliver it? Or like I say, do you try and make some changes yourself, or how are you?
I'll be honest with you, it very much depends on the job. Yeah. And I'm not on this, I am just taking all direction from Joe. And he's just from. I have made the odd suggestion, and is it all right if I deliver it like this? But I really am taking the lead completely because this is more complicated in a good way than I'm used to. Sometimes with soaps and stuff, it's because of the time frame and the amount of exposition and telling a story, you can't go into the detail. And I'll go, look, I wouldn't really say that. Can we just, and with that, I'm not being mean because it's a tough job and you've got to, but they have to, sometimes you go, look, we need to change that. That's just clunky or that's not working. With this, I'm taking all the direction. I'm being a very good boy and doing as I'm told.
And obviously, the show is coming to the Grand Theatre a little bit later on. You're in the rehearsal phase now. What has it been like getting back into doing it? I mean, how your industry was massively affected, but on a more personal level for you, how were you affected, and how is it to be back doing what
I was lucky to do a panto at Christmas. I like to do panto. I genuinely enjoy them. People are always funny about with panto. Panto's the hardest gig. You've got a really quick time to turn it around, and you've got to sing and do movement. I won't call it dancing because it's not what I do. But I can sing and I do the thing, but you've got to learn. It's really hard. So I was very fortunate to be back in the theatre over Christmas, and we had a good 5-week run, and we didn't get taken off. So it's not a million miles. That was only ended in January. So it's not that long ago since I've been doing it, but it affected me hugely. Last year, excuse me, the first one wasn't as bad for me, the first sort of lockdown, because I went back to Hollyoaks for a few months and we continued filming, and it was difficult and frustrating, but I still worked and I was able to eke the money out from that. I got cut short because of the pandemic, but we managed to sort of use that to live off. Yeah. And then the second one absolutely killed me, to be honest. I mean, I'm still recovering from it now financially, because like most people, I didn't have anywhere to turn. I couldn't do work. I it just wasn't that easy, I
think that's the mistake that people make. They sort of think about actors and people they see on the TV as living in another world where, they don't have mortgages and they don't have tax bills and they don't have other bills to pay.
All of the above.
And you've got young kids as well, haven't you, Jeremy, as well? I mean, this is another thing. I've got youngsters myself, and I think for me, I mean this respectfully as well to people, because I know a lot of people have a hard time, but I quite enjoyed the COVID for that family time. I would never have spent as much time with my children because obviously work gets in the way. You're constantly working and, you're like, right, kids, drop them there. Where with COVID, I found it quite nice with young children. I know you've obviously been in the same boat. Was that maybe that bit of comfort to you?
Yeah, I mean, I because doing what I do, I get a fair bit of downtime, and I tend to be either away. It's all or nothing. So they have periods where daddy's at home for months and then daddy's away for months. It's just how it goes. I don't have that regular 9 to 5 thing, but I very much enjoyed it. I love my being at home with the kids, and doing this tour is great. But also, I don't mean this to sound bad, but also it's great because there is time between venues. So I get time off in between, which I wouldn't have taken it. I'll be completely honest with you. I was honest with Lee, the producer. If this was running straight through with just like one day off a week, or which is usually traveling, whatever, I wouldn't be doing it. I would not be doing it, because do
you find it sort of fascinating? I know when I have this conversation with my friends, when they suddenly get a family, suddenly work becomes what was their passion, was their number one in their life. I think as soon as you've got children, the rules change, and suddenly it's all about them and being present and being around for them. So
100%. I've been staying up, we're rehearsing in London. I live in Winchester, which is only an hour away on the train, but it's still quite an early commute. And when you do door to door, it's nearer 2 hours to get across town and, all the rest of it. And it's expensive. I went back on Tuesday night this week, even though I'd get back when the kids were in bed. It was my son's first birthday. My daughter's nearly 5, my son's first birthday. So we could have a breakfast birthday party for a 1-year-old who doesn't even know I'm there or remember it, but just for me, so I didn't miss. And at 6:30 in the morning, so I could still get my 7:30 train, walk to the station and get up here to get to rehearsals on time, because it matters more to me than anything else. That's the sort of stuff we do, which I just wouldn't have done,
No, we were talking with the other day, and we were, obviously we knew you were going to interview yourself, Hilary, and we were just chatting about maybe questions and stuff, and we were saying that I wonder if he just, when he gets home, does he have a big bag of washing and it's that sort of stuff?
What's that like for
is that the case, or do you wash as you go, or how does that work?
Well, on tour, yeah, you do get that. I mean, when I was doing Panto, I'd stayed in a B&B, and the landlady very kindly did it for me. She did charge me, though, quite a lot as well. I was like, oh, that's really kind of you. Oh, thank you, darling. I'm staying over your completely dead time at Christmas, because it was in Torquay. So it's really like a seaside, summertime. Yeah. So I was the only person in the whole place. And I was like, anyway, but usually, it's about, you have to find a laundrette in the middle of your run. That's what you do. Sometimes people, that's what you do. Yeah.
No, it's just great, like you say, trying then to mix being an actor that's not the 9 to 5 alongside, being with a family. The other thing I was going to ask you is a bit more of a practical question, is about when you're on tour or you're in a theatre setting, what do you do about like having your tea? I know, I mean, I've done Panto. I do Panto at the Grand reasonably regularly, and I know it's trying to I try and just get a bit organised. But I wondered if you're touring all over the UK for quite extended periods of time, what do you do about eating?
Yeah, I just eat terribly. It's really bad for my health, because you get tired and then you just want something instantly. You don't really have facilities to cook stuff, so it's food. It's supermarket sort of sandwiches or ready meals, or if you're lucky enough, going out for the odd thing, But it's not ideal, to be honest. But
You're obviously a very good-looking guy, Jeremy.
Hi, Ged.
No, you are. I'm very happy to compliment my fellow man when he's got great looks.
Thank you.
I mean, feel free to give it back, Jeremy. I mean, obviously there was a bit of silence there, but
I was considering it, Ged, and then I considered it again.
But listen, I remember reading one story about obviously your heartthrob days, if you will, and how was it one girl wrote to you asking for you to go to a wedding or something like a real random fan request.
I've had all kinds of things. I've had some really rude ones, which I'm not going to say. I had one that I used to do PAs. You turn up to nightclubs. Stuff and it was really fun actually. You meet people and it's all innocent. You sign photographs and hand them out and stuff. And one girl came up wearing nothing but a thong, right? and wrapped in a chain, like a chain strategically put all over her body, and with a padlock, and just to give me the key.
Love it.
Well, I've never had that. I'll be honest, Jeremy. I've never had that. But
underwear sent to me when I was back in the Hollyoaks days, bras. If you make any kind of comment about any kind of preference, I don't mean rude things, like whatever, the dark haired girls or whatever, that's it. You'll get locks of hair or pictures of because it's not real. I never took it seriously. And I don't, there was another guy called Paul Nichols. Do you remember Paul?
Yeah.
And Adam Rickett. And then we were all friends and we were like the three at that time. We were sort of, Adam was Corrie, Paul was EastEnders, and I was sort of the Hollyoaks when we were basically poster shoots. So we knew, and none of us took it serious. I'm glad to say, because it's not you, it's the image, it's the character, it's the fact you're on telly and all the rest of it. You're just normal guys. I do, however, want to write. I write as well. I do want to write a sitcom with the three of us as older gentlemen.
Really?
Very
I
good.
think that would be quite funny, wouldn't it? With
Absolutely.
Myself,
I wanted to ask.
and Adam. Go on.
Well, I was going to ask, going back to those days, I remember them very well. But I was going to ask, have you kept any sort of random memorabilia? Because you've got children, you've got a family. And is it a case of, because certainly I think, I'm only speaking from my experience, I've kept certain things that I definitely want to show to my son when he's a bit older. So this is when Mummy did this and this is when I did that. I mean, what have your keepsakes? What have you sort of kept on? I'm not talking about the risque stuff, but what kind of random stuff have you kept? Any like random awards or anything that you like?
No,
I've kept
really. My mum made a scrapbook when we first started, which I've got with newspaper cuttings and stuff. I kept, this is going to sound a bit arrogant, I've kept any magazine covers that I've done.
It's arrogant, that's great.
Which I'm going to, not articles and shoots and stuff, I'm not interested, but the covers is still quite exciting. And my last one was only 2 years ago, which I was quite happy about, because I thought, I was still on getting a cover. It was on the Mirror weekend paper. Me and Brendan Cole and I, when we did our dreadful turn on X Factor. But anyway, it was a bit of fun. And I quite like that, whereas I go right back to then 1995 when I'm on the cover of Smash Hits. And I think that's quite nice to sort of, and over the years, having done on TV Times or I did Gay Times and all this stuff. And that's quite nice. And I have an idea that I'm going to photocopy them down to A5 size. So they're not or postcard size even, and then have them in the downstairs loo. Because I don't want to put big, I think that would be a bit a bit weird. Keep me over the years. That's it really. tell you what I have got. I've got that when we launched Hollyoaks in 95, they did these promotional t-shirts and they put them in when they pack t-shirts and put them in cellophane and they made it in a soap bar, because it was a soap and it had the Channel 4, the old Channel 4 logo embossed in it, and they handed them out. And the idea was that you open them up and it came out and it was a Hollyoaks logo T-shirt just for the launch. And I've still got about 4 or 5 of those soap bars unopened. I know.
Keep them.
You talked about your writing. Obviously, we're going to look forward to that little sitcom that's coming up. We won't ask you about a title for it yet. We've put you on the spot there. But I think, was it the Lock-In that you directed and you'd written as well? Is that something that now after lockdown, and obviously we seem to be through this now, is that something that you are actively looking at doing?
100%. I actually have a script. In fact, I need to chase them up. I have a full-length script that I wrote, which is a political thriller, and it's in the hands of a very, very, very large producer in LA. And I've actually spoken to him personally on the phone, and things seem to be moving forward. It'll probably fall apart now. But if that happens, if that goes, I mean, proper big, like huge producer, like Oscar-winning type person. And I managed to get him through various channels, and they seem to like it, and they're looking at producer. And if that happens, you'll never see me again. I will just be firmly behind the camera. I want to direct, I want to write, and because it would be a lovely second career to have, you know?
Yeah.
This is a passion project for me. This play, I read it and it was so good, I thought, and it's such a strong part, and I just thought, I kind of have to do this. But it would happily be my swan song. I don't mean that, you know, but I really would. If the film got picked up and I was making money from that, this would be I would be happy with that. I've had a wonderful, wonderful career on stage, screen. I've been very lucky. I've done 7 films. I've done West End Theatre before. I've done Panto, obviously. I've done tours, including Edinburgh. I've presented television shows, live and pre-recorded. I've really done everything that I've wanted to do. And I've really deliberately wanted to tick all those different boxes. And there are other boxes I now want to tick, and writing and directing are the 2 biggest ones that I want to tick. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Do you know, I feel like I have no doubt that you'll achieve those as well, because you just seem to have the complete right attitude to it all, that you enjoy what you do, and you're grateful and you enjoy every moment.
I started writing 20 odd years ago. I do it as a hobby. So it's not that thing of the different, if this does get picked up and you've got the sort of musicians have the difficult second album, you know, I've got stacks of stuff, which is really important, I think. And I'm constantly writing new ideas and new outlines, because then if something does get picked up and you get a bit of traction, I can go, well, if you like that, here you can get more stuff going. I think that's very important. People really ought to not cling on to one thing, because also you don't have to be so precious then. If people don't like it, you can switch it around. People that write one thing, they're like, no, it has to stay that way. I think they scupper themselves sometimes, because you need to be able to allow other people to see it the way they want to see it, you know?
Well, Jeremy, it's been great speaking to yourself and Hilary. Listen, good luck in the rehearsals. Good luck on the tour as well. We can't wait to see you in Blackpool. Thank you very much. It's been brilliant.
I'm really looking forward to coming to Blackpool. I can't even tell you how much I'm looking forward to. I've got loads of people coming, loads of friends coming to Blackpool.
Thanks for joining us on Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat.
Like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.